You're looking all nice today.
Oh, thanks.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Your sound's good there in that shed.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I noticed the sound was better here. It's hot though. It's like 100 degrees in here.
It's hot in here, but I'm wearing my hat because my shoulder's killing me. Right, you've got all the notes because I know nothing about this show, so it's all your show.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I got some notes.
What is it we're talking about?
I think mindful parenting, right?
Mindful, one of my favorite subjects, actually.
Oh, cool.
Did you see my?
I've never talked about it before, so this will be interesting.
Haven't you? Yeah, it will be interesting actually because I don't know your perspective on it either. Right, let me put my phone on silent. It already is. And if I record at this end, and if I give you permission to record it as well, allow record.
Okie dokie.
We don't need to do the intro again, do we?
Probably not.
Oh, it's all listed on iTunes.
Yeah, I saw it.
We can move the URL because now iTunes has given us a permanent one, so we can move it to the other website.
Did you get a chance to look at the video?
I looked at most of it. Yes, great.
Cool. I tried to cut out like some of the more personal chatter, but I tried to leave some of it in there.
I trust you. Did you do a YouTube channel and upload it?
No, I haven't created a YouTube channel yet.
Because we could put that on the patrons as well, couldn't we?
Yeah.
We could just upload that to the patrons rather than. And for now, we could even put it on the Facebook page, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, yeah. If we put it on the Facebook, well, I was thinking we could put it on YouTube, put with a private link, and then give that link to the patron people that.
Yeah, really.
And that way it's something special for them. And then we can mention it on our Facebook page. Hey, if you want to be able to see our behind the scenes video of our podcast, go to our patron site.
Good idea.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I just wanted you to see it before I uploaded it.
No, I trust you 100%.
Okay.
Mind you, I'm never going to upload a podcast until I know you've said okay. So I trust you more.
Well, then you know how I feel.
Yeah, I trust you more than I trust myself. It's ironic, isn't it? Right, mindful parenting.
Mindful parenting.
So what do you think mindful parenting is?
Well, I did a bunch of reading to see what the rest of the world thought mindful parenting was. And I still kind of keep coming back to my own idea about it. I read a lot of good stuff, but to me, it's about, okay, the quote or the saying where they talk about how the airline attendants tell you to put on your oxygen mask first so that you can help your child, because you can't help your child if you can't breathe. To me, mindful parenting is like that. It's about learning to regulate your own stress and your own emotions and not react in order to be a good example and teach that to your children.
Yeah, I've heard that story about the mask on the airplane, and and what you're saying is very similar to what I think. I always use the example of when you got a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old child in a supermarket, and it's screaming, and it just wants the ice cream. You've got the ice cream there, and the child doesn't understand money. It doesn't understand economics. It doesn't understand that he's got tea in an hour's time and his belly will be full. It doesn't understand any of those things.
Yeah.
All it understands is it's got a desire for that ice cream, and he wants it. So he wants that ice cream, and nothing else matters in the world in that moment. See, mindful parenting is recognizing that that's how a child feels. That's what a child sees the world.
Yeah, yeah.
A child doesn't see the world from the way where we are.
Right.
We've got a few more years on the child.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that instance, we often get really annoyed by the child because they're really ruining our shopping experience.
Yeah.
We're busy, we're tired, we want to get the shopping over and done with. We've had to bring the child because they're off school, or we've had to go shopping on a day that the child hasn't got any childcare or something like that. We didn't want to bring the child. We didn't want to do that with them. But the child doesn't understand any of that.
Right.
So we're now annoyed with the child because the child's annoyed what we think is because we've taken them shopping and all the other things. But the reality is the child wants ice cream.
Yeah.
So what does a mindful parent do in that instance?
Well, what you're talking about here is setting limits, in my opinion. Like if it was if it was me and it was my daughter and we were in the store and she started screaming about something, my limit with her is if you ever react by crying for something or whining for something or screaming for something, it's an automatic no, no questions asked, automatic no. I would honestly take her out and go to the car and leave, even if I had a reason to be there. Because you know, part of mindful parenting is trying to get to the heart of what it is, you know, what the outcome is, whether that's a punishment or something they want or whatever. Like, what do you want your end goal to be? Like, it's solving the problem, not just reacting out of anger. So I would be like, okay, well, her motivation is to get the ice cream.
Yeah.
So if you're going to scream, it's an automatic no.
Yeah. So it's teaching the child in that moment that that's not the way to get it.
Exactly. Exactly.
The way I see it, and I absolutely agree with that. The way I also see it is putting aside the ice cream and putting aside the boundaries and the not allowing them to have it because of the reaction. It's more so they've these feelings have come up, and when these feelings come up, that a child of 4 or 5 years old doesn't understand. They can't distinguish between all the little subtleties. They're
Yeah.
just feeling this excitement of seeing the ice cream. That excitement's turned to frustration and anger.
Oh, yeah.
And they cannot explain, well, Mum, the way this is because I'm kind of bored in the supermarket. I'm not really enjoying it. I really like those ice creams on the shelf. And I don't understand money. I don't understand all the other things. And I really want them. And I'm really excited to have one of them. And now
Yeah.
you're ruining my life.
Yeah. See,
You know, in that instance, you've just ruined that whole child's life.
yeah.
So they've gone from excited to absolutely frustrated and mad and
Yeah.
hurt and upset and
Yeah.
devastated. And so, and then we walk out on them. In that instance, they got all these feelings, and then we walk out on them and leave them there. And now they're terrified. Now they're like, oh my God. So I'm feeling all these things that no one understands, neither do I. And now they're walking out of me, and now I'm
Yeah.
frightened and everything.
Yeah. I really honestly never found myself in that position because when my daughter was really little and I would take her shopping, she knew that at the end of the trip, if she behaved, she would get like a little muffin or a little treat from the, you know, like Targets have like little shops in them. And so like, you know, we would just, and I would wait till the very end to give it to her, but she knew it was coming and she knew if she was good, she would get it. And like, I don't know, I never ran into that problem.
Yeah, but positive reinforcement, and that often prevents that problem happening.
Yes.
That's probably why you never run into it.
Yeah.
I've never had it. My stepdaughter was 4 when she moved in. However, I've seen it in supermarkets.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen parents, and I feel for the parent at that moment. It's embarrassing because there's so many other parents and grandparents and people looking on going, or you feel, and I'm sure some of them do, are judging you on your parenting skills.
Yeah.
So a mindful parent would go, okay, none of them actually matter.
Right, exactly.
The first thing that matters is how I teach my child to respond in these situations.
Yeah, exactly.
So my advice, being an inner peace guide, would be take a little time out, sit down near them, say 5-6 feet away from them,
Yeah, yeah.
and wait until they've calmed down.
Yeah, yeah. I used to do that too. Yeah.
And what that does in that moment, A, it calms you down. B,
Mm-hmm.
it teaches the child to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of screaming at a child, well, we got no money, you got your tea later, you got all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm tired, I'm fed up with you asking for stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And then we compare them to their brother and all that and say, you know, your brother is not like this. And so we just confuse the heck out of the child,
Oh,
or we
yeah.
can allow the child to allow the feelings to arise, and we sit down comfortably next to them and go,
Yeah.
okay, how do you
Well,
feel
yeah.
now?
Honestly, to me, one of the most important aspects of mindful parenting is letting my daughter know that it's okay to feel what she feels. Like, I'll tell her, it's okay that you're angry right now. It's okay that you're upset right now. It's not okay to scream at people. It's not okay to hit people. It's not okay to be aggressive to people, but it's okay to feel that. If you need time to yourself, if you need to talk, whatever you need to do, that's fine. But your feelings are okay.
Yeah, I just wanted a few seconds for that to sink in, because that is so massively important.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's to allow a child to cry, to allow a child to be
Mhm.
angry, to
Yeah.
allow a child to develop these abilities to recognize the different feelings
Oh, yeah.
without feeling shame for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you deny the feelings, they're not going to learn coping mechanisms.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many adults, especially guys, that feel ashamed to cry. They won't cry.
Hmm.
You know, the old man up scenario. You know, if you
Right.
continue to cry, I'll give you something to cry for. Seriously, that line just sends shivers right
Oh, I
through my
know.
body.
I used to hear that when I was a kid. Yeah.
And I don't know if I have, but I can imagine myself saying it as well in frustrating times.
Yeah.
I don't think I have, but it becomes such a normal thing to hear, and people say that it's quite frightening how normal it is,
Yeah, it is. It is.
and quite terrifying how much damage it does.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the most, I think, another important, there's so many important things on this subject, but another one is, like creating a safe environment, which, has to do with, letting them know it's okay to feel how they feel. But that's where trust comes in. Like, my daughter's 15 and she trusts me. She talks to me because she knows it's safe to talk to me. She knows I'll listen. She knows that I'm okay with however she feels.
Yeah.
She knows, I'll help her solve the problem. But they need that safe environment where their feelings are not invalidated, because they are people. They are people just like us. They just don't have as much experience yet.
Yeah, they're only children for what, 1/6 of their life, 1/8 of
Oh,
their life,
yeah. Yeah.
and the children today. Elon Musk said, I believe it was Elon Musk said about 8-9 months ago, that the child that's going to live to be 400 years old is already alive today.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So these children under 20 have got a long time to be adults.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I know grandparents that still cannot cry, cannot articulate their feelings, that are frightened to, they hold back their anger because they cannot voice it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to put my cup of tea down, it's getting heavy. But yeah, there's a whole, and it's not just one generation. This
No.
has gone on for probably the whole of human evolution. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
for us to be aware of all these complicated feelings inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So mindful parenting and all that, it's not something we got to get back to. It's something really new. It's
Mm-hmm.
something really that's going to change the next generations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because like it starts with yourself. Like the ultimate key to mindful parenting is learning to control your own emotions. Because stress is contagious. Frustration, anger, sadness, they're contagious.
Well, it is. And
the poor kids don't understand what's going on.
no, they have no idea.
Yeah.
Most adults have no idea what's going on inside of them.
Yeah.
Yet we expect kids to know exactly what's going on inside of them.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
explaining to 7-year-old kids the economic structure of the family income. They don't care. They don't
No.
understand it. They don't
No.
care that you got no money. They don't know what money is.
Yeah.
All they care about is they have a feeling and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to what you said about creating that space, home should be their sanctuary that they can be whoever they are.
Absolutely. 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 Letting your kids be themselves, I think, is also integral. Like, I mean, everyone should do that anyway, but we're trying to teach them emotional intelligence, letting them be themselves, express themselves, feel confident. I mean, I feel like that's the most important thing I can do for my daughter is send her into the world confident about who she is.
Yeah.
She'll learn what she needs to at school. She'll figure her life out, but to send her in the world confident about being herself, like,
Yeah, we all want to be
nothing more
happy,
important.
and we all want our children to be happy. You ask anybody what they want to be happy. You
Want to be
ask
happy.
anybody what they want for their family, their children, they want them to be happy.
Yeah.
And yet none of us are happy.
Right. Like we have to teach them that. Like, we can't just be like, oh, just be happy. How do you attain that?
we're still searching for that happy, take whichever pill or whatever we do in life, whether it's our spiritual journey, whether it's the success and career.
Yeah.
We're still searching for it. Yeah. We're trying to bring up the children as a mini us, as if we have the answers.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the safe sanctuary for children at home, because it's so important what you said, Susan, about them being able to feel their emotions, them being able to, because, it's one thing having a child that's frightened of expressing their emotions, but it's really bad when you've got adults that cannot express their emotions.
Yeah.
That cannot find their voice, that cannot see the difference between guilt, shame, fear, and all these other feelings that go on. Most adults can only articulate 5 or 6 feelings.
Yeah.
There's 30, 40, 50 different feelings.
Wow. Yeah.
And most of us go from anger to happy to desires, back to pissed off, back to angry. And there seems to be no in between.
Yeah.
And all of it leads from frustration.
Yeah.
And where does that come from? That comes from a child. You learn as a child that you cannot express your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the worst moment, okay, so my daughter is high functioning autistic. When she was young, she would freak out if like her routine got messed up. She was like super OCD when she was little, and it was like the end of the world. And like I remember she was having a hard year at school. The first year after our divorce, she had a teacher that kind of treated her like she was a problem, but she would hold it in. She'd hold it in. Because she was like super shy and she like behaved really well at school, and she'd hold it in, and she'd come home and she'd just explode and let it all out and just scream and cry and just take it out on me. And I would have to go outside and just take 10 minutes and just breathe and then remind myself she trusts me to show me how she's feeling. she's showing me trust. And that calmed me down.
Yeah, it's going back to you have to be their sanctuary. You have to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
My daughter tells me things that I really no stepdad should ever have to hear.
Yeah.
but I know that if she's ever in trouble,
Oh yeah.
if she ever gets pregnant when it's not planned or something like that, I know she'll turn up here and turn around and say,
yeah,
maybe this is my problem.
Yeah.
Going back to one example of I'm going to give two examples of where I wasn't being mindful, because I wasn't always a very mindful person. It's quite a new thing to me. So I want all the parents out there that are going, oh my God, like,
oh yeah, it takes lots of practice.
No, I've made all the same mistakes.
I still mess
up. This is me been through these things now, saying there might be different ways.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I was in the kitchen and my daughter was doing the recycling. Now then, this meant taking apart cardboard boxes and all that and putting it, flat packing it to put it out for recycling. Well, as a child, I used to go with my dad and do the same thing. But my dad taught me to flat pack everything. Now, me being in a wheelchair now, I cannot do it myself and all that. That's why I was trying to direct Kemba to do it. Now then, Kemba being different to me was having no part of my way of doing things.
Yeah.
So she stood on things. That wasn't right to me. So I started shouting at her. She started screaming back at me. I started saying things like, you're winding me up deliberately. You are deliberately stamping on those boxes. And it might be the case she was deliberately doing it, but it wasn't to wind me up. It was to show me she had some control.
Right, exactly. Oh, exactly.
And I wasn't going to push her around, and she wasn't going to be pushed around. And I am here, and I'm a little human, and I have my place.
Yeah.
But I seen it at the time as her just being a little brat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was my complete ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other time that I was mindful is she had about 3 months left of college. And after all the hard work she'd done at college, she came in and sat down and said, I'm going to give up college.
Wow.
And she said to me the reasons why and all that. And I just said, okay. And she said, well, so you're not going to talk me into it. You're not going to talk me out of giving it up. I said, well, are you asking my advice or are you telling me what you're doing?
Right.
She said, well, I'm kind of telling you what I'm doing. And I said, well, that's fine then. I'm not going to, if that's what you've done, if you've made your mind up, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about it and you haven't made your mind up, well, then let's do that.
Yeah.
But I was aware in that moment that it wasn't about me thinking, you've done these years, you should go to college. You've got to have this in life. You've got to have, I was feeling a bit of that inside. Quite a lot of that inside, actually.
Yeah.
But it's not my life.
Right. Yep.
She was 19. It's her life. It's her life to make her mistakes. Or how do I know it is a mistake?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I've done many mistakes in my life that have turned out a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
So, it comes down to really that home is a sanctuary, and what you say about them being able to have feelings. You just cannot express how important that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that kind of goes along with, the idea of ending perfectionism, teaching your children that it's okay to make mistakes, teaching your children that adults make mistakes, that adults are human. I admit my mistakes to my daughter.
Really? I never make any mistakes. Never. Everything's perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm 44, and part of what my stepdad passed down to me was, if you're going to do something, do it right.
Yeah.
And I can remember hearing those words, and whenever they crop up in my mind now, it's like, hello, Andy. And So hi, Andy, if you are listening. But I agree with the sentiment. But the problem is it left me with a perfectionism that I had to get everything absolutely perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
And what the hell is this perfection? It does not exist.
No, it's just unnecessary pressure.
Yeah, it just does not exist. So, you know, this podcast, it's been years in the making for the simple fact I wanted to find a co-host. I found you. We got to know each other. And I never thought I'd be able to do it on my own. I would never thought. And every time we edit it, every time we do it, every time I'm talking, I'm thinking this isn't perfect.
Yeah.
I put an or an R, but really it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
People don't actually care that much.
No, no. And
And
that's
that's
the
what we
thing,
got to give
like,
the kids. It's okay to breathe, to,
oh yeah. And slow down, like slow things down, like from your entire life to your morning routine. Get up a little earlier, so you're not rushing around feeling like you need to yell at the kids to get their shoes and get their lunch and this and that. Like just, little kids that they need more time to figure out what they're doing, and they want to pick out their own clothes and they want to pick out their own food. And I don't know about you, but like if I ever tried to rush my daughter, it slowed her down.
oh my God, yes.
What? You want me to hurry? Let me take 20 times longer.
It's, yeah. Yeah, if you want to be late, tell your daughter to hurry up.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And the thing is, just be late. It's okay sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, they have enough
Um,
pressure. They don't need
let
the
them be
extra
late
pressure.
for school as well. You know,
Yeah.
the thing is, it's about, we touched upon it with the recycling, but it's about giving them a little bit of control. So allowing them
Yeah.
to have the feelings, but allowing them to have some control.
Oh, yeah.
And not too much control that choices becomes ridiculous.
No, yeah. What
You
I
know,
always did was like if I wanted my daughter to do something, like choose a food, I would give her two choices that I was okay with, but it gave her just enough control that she felt like she was making the decision. And honestly, I
brilliant.
think that's the key with adults too. Like let them feel like they're making the decision.
Brilliant. There's a really good study that the happiest people have less choice.
Yeah.
And the if you've got 6 or more choices, I cannot remember where the study was. I cannot remember. I just remember seeing a video about it. If you have 6 or more choices,
Mm-hmm.
your life becomes more unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
If
can
you
see
have
that.
below 6, your life becomes happy. And there's a number of reasons. A, you're never, if you've got too many choices, you're never happy with the choice.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got less choices, you tend to be happy and settle and make a quicker decision. So we
Oh
don't
yeah.
procrastinate.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's it's like if someone says to me, "What do you want in the way of a tea if we have takeaway tonight?" Well, years ago it was easy, a couple of choices. Well, we can have everything now, and then everything has everything on their menu, and it becomes just a nightmare. So you
Yeah.
imagine saying to a child, "What do you want for tea?" Now, at that moment, they have a rush of ideas in their head
Mm-hmm.
of that. A, they don't know what's in your freezer or fridge, but they have a
Right.
rush of everything they've ever eaten,
Yep.
and they've got to make a decision out of all those things.
Yeah.
And because they think every one of those things are on the table as an
Mm-hmm.
option, they don't like everything you mention.
So of course they don't want tea. They want chocolate milk.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yep.
you've just given them every option in the world that they've
Yep.
ever eaten.
Yeah.
But like you say, that those 2 options, which is just such a brilliant thing you've done with your daughter, give them 2 options.
Yeah.
You know, bangers and mash or fish fingers and mash. And you are articulating you're helping them to grow because you're helping them to empower them and make decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
why the 11-year-old boy scuffs his shoes when you tell him not to. refuses to wear a coat when literally their fingers are falling off. It's freezing cold. There's 7 foot of snow on the ground, and they
Yeah.
refuse to put their coat on.
Yeah.
We think it's because they're deliberately disobeying us. We think it's because they're being just ridiculous. No, they're articulating some control.
Yes, 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 yes.
And yes, they would rather freeze than.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the kids go through several stages where they start feeling lots of new emotions that they've never had before. Like a 2-year-old doesn't know what anxiety is. A 4-year-old, that's a different story. Teenagers are like that too, and like they've got all these feelings, these new feelings that they don't know what to do with. They don't, and so they need to exert control on their life, and they also start feeling the need to be more independent and be their own person and be autonomous. And that's all it is. It's not personal. They're not trying to get your goat.
No, they're really not. They have no second person perspective.
Yeah,
And they don't
yeah,
develop that until they're 7, 8 years old. And it
yeah.
seems weird. There's 2 things there's 3 things through development, and I'll be really short on each one. But it's when that 18-month-old child or the 2-year-old child is hiding for you, and they
Mm-hmm.
close their eyes or they put their head behind the curtain, and they think you can't see them, and their butt's hanging out.
Right.
There's that development, so they cannot see it from where you're seeing.
Right.
Their
Exactly.
eyes and their is everything. The second part is Ken Wilber explains brilliantly that if you sit opposite like a 4 or 5-year-old
Mm-hmm.
with a ball, especially like a 4-year-old, and half of the ball is green and half of the ball is red,
Mm-hmm.
and you point the red half towards them and the green half towards you, and you say to him, what color is he looking at? He'll say he's looking at the red. And then you spin it around a few times until the green side's facing his half.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and he should know the other half of the ball's red and I'm looking at red.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say to him, what color am I looking at? What color can I see? He
Mm-hmm.
will say the color he's looking at. And
Yeah.
he will say green.
Yeah.
Now, then we look at that and go, oh my God, how could he not get that?
Yeah.
But it's the inability to be able to see it from another person's angle
Oh
or
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're saying to a child, see it from my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You've got tea in an hour, you've got this, you've got that. The money for the new shoes. No, they're not going to see it from your angle.
Mm-mm.
So if you want your child to stop scuffing his shoes, change the attention.
Mm-hmm.
While you're telling him not to do it, he's going to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So don't tell him to scuff his shoes. Just turn around and say, mention something else. Change the subject to school like we do with an animal.
Mm-hmm.
When an animal's barking, we change the attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the third one. But yeah, it's about that perspective. They just haven't got it.
No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You cannot shout it into them.
No, 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 no. There's a lot of benefits for the children when it comes to mindful parenting too. They've done a lot of research, and kids with parents that focus on mindful parenting, they have less depression, less anxiety, and less acting out.
It doesn't surprise me.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
No, and I would probably guess that they have higher emotional intelligence at a younger age. I didn't find that research, but because it's all about, teaching them emotional congruency, some adults don't even have that.
No, and you're saying about higher emotional intelligence. I call it emotional wisdom as
Ooh,
opposed
I
to
like that.
intelligence, because
Yeah,
intelligence can be right and wrong and things like that. And so I like wisdom.
that's nice.
And it's a very new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you were to go back 50 years when Gandhi was around, the percentage of people that would have had emotional wisdom, i.e., I'm mad about this, how can I do
Mm-hmm.
something about it, as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to scream and shout,
Mm-hmm.
was infinitely rare.
Oh yeah.
And then go back to back another 300-400 years ago.
Yeah.
There was next to nobody, St. Francis, a few Christian leaders and all that, maybe a few religious leaders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go back another 1,000 years, you got Jesus. And then go back another 500 years, you got the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we remember these people is because it was so rare.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But you know, nowadays employers are looking for those qualities in employees. I mean, it's super important.
It's about leadership rather than being a
Uh-huh.
boss.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
as a parent, you're a leader. You're
Mm-hmm.
not their boss.
No, and you're their, more than anything, you're their teacher.
Yeah. You're not bringing up a mini you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
stop reliving your failures through them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you fucked up at school or at college and you didn't go because you didn't work hard, stop
Yeah.
expecting them to fill that hole in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I do believe school and college and all that is kind of important. I don't think it's the end. I don't think if you don't get a good education, your life's over.
Yeah.
I would replace academic with emotional wisdom every day of the week.
Mm, absolutely.
If you want a child to be happy, teach them emotional wisdom to deal with their feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I forgot your other point.
Oh, I don't know. I wrote down a couple of, you know, key words, I guess you could say, because, you know, mindfulness is kind of a hard concept to grasp. Mindful parenting makes it a little more complicated. So I came up with a few, like, kind of key things, key factors. Um, like I already mentioned, attunement and emotional congruency. Um, being mindful in everyday interactions, which is just like, you know, when you're interacting with your child, are you thinking about the office? Are you thinking about lunch, dinner, or are you paying attention to what's going on and what's happening in the moment? Being attentive to your child, listening,
But
listening
how
to
do
your
we do that?
child.
How do we do
um,
that? Okay,
yeah.
I'll give you this example. And this is what I often do. I teach people to stay mindful in these
Oh,
moments.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to throw it out to you and, to the listeners, really. Comment on how you deal with this. We've been speaking about giving them an open space, giving them a sanctuary, giving them the place to scream, shout, to cry, to articulate these feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're cooking tea, the phone's ringing. We have 3 kids, the dogs haven't been out. I'm tired because I spent the night up last night because I've got a cold and I've got one of my children ill and they're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
The children don't care that I'm tired. The
No.
dog doesn't care that I've got other stuff to do than take him out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to get tea done as soon as possible. I can't afford to get a takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
None of the kids want to eat while I'm cooking.
Yeah.
How do we stay mindful when everything's going wrong and all we're feeling inside is sheer frustration because we love our
Yeah.
kids, but they are driving us absolutely gritted teeth mental?
Yeah. Well, you know, honestly, when I feel like that, I have to go outside and be alone for like 5 or 10 minutes and just breathe and calm myself down and then go, okay, what do I need to take care of first? What do I need to take care of second? What do I need to take care of third? And, you know, a child may not understand that you're tired, but, you know, you can explain these things to them. Like, that's another thing. Like, tell your children why, you know, hey, I need you to give me 10 minutes because I need to do this, this, and this, and then you have my full attention. Like
Yeah.
they can, yeah.
Set them up doing something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Distraction.
If your kids are in the front room driving you absolutely mental because they're full of energy and you're trying to cook tea, go in and turn the telly off. Ask the kids to pick a song each. Turn the music up a little bit and let them have a party in the front room dancing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They got energy. They need to get rid of that energy. You know, you cannot expect these kids to just sit down and sit on their hands and be really good adults.
Right. They're not adults.
No, well, exactly. That is bingo.
Yep.
And totally lost it. Yeah, we expect them to be adults when I'm just thinking about the editing purposes of putting this back in. Yeah, they're not adults.
No.
From that perspective, we expect them to be good children. Sit down, wait for me. Give me what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah.
No, they've got energy and they're hungry. And on a completely practical sense, the front part of the brain lives off glucose. It's why humans crave sugary things as opposed to animals and other species. They haven't got a prefrontal neocortex. It's developing, but they haven't got it yet. So the brain, the prefrontal neocortex is like the runt of a litter. It gets fed last.
Yeah.
So therefore it's starving first. So you get to tea time, whether it's you or your children, the part that humanizes us, the part that gives us love and compassion and understanding is hungry.
Right. Yeah.
Someone said to me there, it's hangry.
Hangry. Yes, I've heard that.
And you think about anybody that gets really, really cheesy, and yourself, how does it feel when you're hungry?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. We're craving, and the children are craving, and everybody's craving right before tea, a fix. And it's recognizing, mindful parenting is recognizing that the kids are feeling the same way as you're feeling.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, get them busy, get them doing something. You know, if you want that 10 minutes, like what you say, you know, you take some time out, let the kids do whatever they're doing for 5 minutes. You know, they're unlikely to actually do any real serious damage.
Yeah.
And then come back in with a calmer head and see how you can give them some way, like the music or like some other way that you can entertain them for 10 minutes while you finish doing what you've got to do.
Yes.
You know, don't separate them and put them in different rooms and expect them to be quiet.
Yeah.
You get 2 to help you and 2 to do something else. You know, there is ways.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing with children about children and adults, and that is I often compare it to a school playground. And you got, what, schools now, 1,000 kids?
At least, yeah.
It's mind-blowing. This whole example is why it is so absolutely insane. Right, you got 1,000 kids that have just spent an hour sat on their hands in lesson, told to concentrate and focus, and they don't know how to do either of them. Neither does most adults I know. If I told you to focus on something for 1 minute, you just the same as me, you'd get to about 10 seconds before your mind's wandering. So for an hour, we're expecting them to be everything they're not. Sit down and focus, sit down and be still. Don't say anything. And then we let them out to play for 15 minutes. They got all this frustration. They got all this energy. And they're now in a playground with another 1,000 souls with all that energy and frustration.
Yeah.
And then we expect them all to play nice together, to understand their feelings, to all be emotional wise, all be really, really good and not disagree with each other, and just everybody be perfect harmony for that 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yet the staff in the staff room can't do it. You know, you know, it's just mind blowing. And when we turn that around on its head and realize
Yeah.
what we expect of these children,
Yeah.
and that's why home needs to be a sanctuary. That's why
Yeah.
home needs to
Absolutely.
be. When they're angry, they can go, Mum, I'm feeling really angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a practical sense, when your child
Yeah.
comes to you and says, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, what can we do?
Yeah. And it's about not being judgmental toward them about how they're feeling, who they are, what they want, what they think. It's about not being reactive. It's about, like let's say you're in that situation again where you're making tea, trying to make tea, and the dogs are barking, they want to go out, and the kids are running around, and they're just like, ah. It's about not screaming at the kids to shut up. It's about being able to stop and think about it for a second and go, okay, you guys are wound up. I need 10 minutes to finish the tea and the snacks. Go outside, ride your bikes for 10 minutes, then I'll call you back in. It's about being able to think
Yeah.
logically about how to solve your problem instead of just
Yeah.
reacting out of frustration and judging them for acting up.
Yeah. If they're full of energy, don't ask them to do their homework.
Right, right. Oh
Find
gosh,
a time when their energy is a natural low.
oh yeah, like we had a rule at my house when Bella was growing up, where like the first hour she was home, she did not have to do her homework. She got to do whatever she wanted for the first hour, whether that
Yeah.
was playing or watching TV, which it usually was because she was exhausted and she wanted to veg out. Or play her little games, for an hour. Then we would start the homework.
Yeah. It's really, really important. The other practical sense, when they come over to us, and because the more we allow them to open, the more they find their voice with us, the more they're going to come to us and say, Mum, I'm feeling really angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so what can we do in that instance as well? Well, actually take 3 minutes out and sit down with them and
Yeah.
say, explain to me how you're feeling. And you
Yeah.
just said it perfectly. Don't judge. Don't think. It's their feelings.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Feelings
Yes.
aren't wrong.
Right. Exactly. I mean, we don't like it when someone tells us that our feelings are
Yeah.
invalid at all. I can't stand that personally. Like, why
An
do we do?
opinion or belief can be wrong,
Yeah.
but a feeling's not wrong.
No.
It's their feelings. They own it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so what we can do is ask them some questions about it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
where is the feeling to in your body?
Mm-hmm.
What color is it? What
Mm-hmm.
shape is it?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it there?
Yeah.
And the point is, when we ask these questions, we have to allow the child or even an adult, it really works for ourselves if we do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really just allow them, if yours is red and theirs is yellow, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just because your anger is red and theirs is yellow, it's irrelevant. It's about recognizing it as a visitor to our bodies. And if
Yeah.
children can, you imagine the child that recognizes their anger as a little red, square, spiky object
Yeah.
that in the pit of the stomach,
Mm-hmm.
whenever they feel wrong or unjustified, is that a word? It is now. Unjustified.
Interesting.
Whenever that arises, you imagine them as an adult, 35 years old, they're at work, a work colleague really does something that is really not fair.
Mm-hmm.
They can go, well, look, this is not fair now, and they can go and punch them. They can go and hand their notice in. They can go and scream at the boss. They can put it on Facebook. Do all the other things that we do nowadays?
Yeah.
Phone the president. Do you know what happened to me today? Or we can go, do you know what? That little red square's back.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it here? Let me move it around. Let me be okay with it.
Yeah.
What can I do with it? What message
Yeah.
is in that red square box?
Yeah.
And it
Nice.
just gives you complete control over responding. And that's what we're teaching kids, is to respond, not react.
Oh yeah. 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 Absolutely. 100%. And teach them to pause before they respond in anger, and noticing how we feel like when we're in a conflict with our child. You know, we have to look at ourselves and go, okay, why do we feel what we feel? Because a lot of times it is what you were saying before. We think they're doing it on purpose. I can't tell you how many times I used to hear my ex say that. Well, she's acting this way on purpose just to push me. No, no, she's not. Why do you really feel that way?
Yeah. I laugh, not because it's never happened to me, because now I'm on the outside of it. I see how many times I've done that.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Do you know what?
yeah.
You're deliberately doing this to piss me off.
Yeah, I've felt that way before. And then I'm
You,
like, wait a minute.
you know better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no one wakes up in any day and sets out to piss their parents off,
Right,
to
right.
really annoy their children.
Yeah,
No one does.
yeah,
Yet we think people do.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's who we are rather than them. So if we could summarize how to be a more mindful parent and what's the most important ways of doing it,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Being aware in your day-to-day interactions, being aware of your own feelings in the situation, being a model to your child of how to regulate your emotions,
Yeah,
um, um, pausing and responding rather than reacting, listening to your child,
yeah,
being attentive to your child, treating your child with respect and trust.
yeah. Don't
Giving the
demand it,
truth.
treat it. If you want respect, show respect. If you want love, show
Yes,
love.
absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
you want to be listened to, listen.
Yes.
um, I think you summed it up quite well, to be quite honest. And
Thanks.
it reminds me of when someone says, if you've got a behavioral problem with your dog,
Mm-hmm.
you get in a dog trainer.
Mm-hmm.
But the dog trainer is the wrong words, because they don't train the dog.
They train you.
They train the owner to,
Yes.
allow the dog to be a dog.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yep.
And that's the point. Mindful parenting is not about bringing up mindful children. It's about you being a mindful parent,
Yes. Oh, yes. I love that. Yes. Yes.
which gives your
Yes.
children the space, the sanctuary to be children and to understand what's going on inside, so they don't have to wait till they're 40 or 50 years old until they hit a rock bottom.
Right. And then go, all right, I got to figure out how to live life now. Guilty.
Yeah,
Yeah. You've,
absolutely. And that's the whole thing, this spiritual journey, finding out who we are. And
mm-hmm.
that's because so many people drummed out of us who
I
we
mean,
were.
can you imagine if all parents could be mindful parents, the huge head start their children would have in life, not having to figure that stuff out on their own later?
It's changing. Children are embracing their strengths, embracing their voices, and this is why the internet's so amazing. We're doing a podcast now and people listen to it.
Yeah.
If they take one thing from it, one line, or someone comments and someone that helps somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about having the wisdom as parents that have messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have we
Yeah.
got all the answers? No, far from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It
we
kind
know
of,
good
yeah.
kids do not make good adults.
No. Yeah. Well, you know that there's a quote. I have no idea who said it. I have the most awful memory, Swiss cheese memory. But there's a quote I've seen a million times, especially around Christmas time. I see it, and it's kids don't want presents; they want presents.
Yeah.
They want you to see them as a person and see who they are. I mean, that's all anyone wants out of life is
Bingo.
for someone that they care about to see them for who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my daughter, that, and it's absolutely true now. When we went for a meal last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite a nice moment because everywhere else was busy and not doing food. So we ended up finding a nice restaurant we'd never been into before.
Yeah.
But I didn't pick up my phone during the meal.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at my phone for the first time when Kemba went and got, I can't remember, he went and paid or got the cards out or something like that, and checked my phone. But it was the first time. We just sat there and had a conversation.
Awesome. Wonderful.
And yeah, and she's 21 now.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if I could do that all those times before.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have made such a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, it's never,
Hello?
ever, ever too late to start.
You can come down a minute. It's a podcast. We can edit this bit out. Say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I've just got my first interview at the NHS. Guess what job it is?
For the theatre.
What the hell?
When is it?
25th of June. Further to your application for the above position, I'm very pleased to inform you that you have been selected for interview. The details are as follows. Panel members, Diane Lee, theatre manager, Lee Suffolk, senior staff nurse, then another Sarah, theatre manager. Please be aware there will be a numerous and literary test as part of the interview process.
You'll do fine.
No, I need to get some books from Amazon, and I'm doing it for a whole month. You said that when you want something, you just practice, don't you?
Yeah.
So I'm going to sit over and read my books every night and just practice. I've actually got an interview.
Well done. Nice one.
That's my CV, innit? That's because I've got all my qualifications now.
Yeah, exactly.
I just had to tell you, I need to get Brian so bad.
Okay.
I'll leave you be.
See you later. That's one of my carers. Where were we?
Oh, wow.
Presents.
Yeah, about being present.
And the funny thing is, when we're not present with children, that's when they look at the other things, the presents, the Christmas, the birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's nice to get new items. And children do live in a materialistic world. Whether we like it or not, they do.
Yeah.
But more importantly, going back to what do we all want is that happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much we want to be happy, we want to feel good.
Oh, yeah.
So this goes on from what you were just saying about the presents. When we are listening to them and they're able to speak and they're able to articulate what they're saying, they feel good.
Yes.
When they get a present, they feel good. It doesn't last long.
Right.
So it's a matter of, are we currently allowing them to feel their own feelings without us imposing ours on them?
Yeah. I can totally attest to that being true. I mean, my daughter is a perfect example because her dad lives really, really far away, like 18-hour drive away, and she doesn't see him very often. And when she goes to see him, it's all, let's go do all these cool, fun things and spend lots of quality time together. In his mind, that's how he looks at it. But she just wants to sit down and play a board game with him, talk, get to know each other. Because she wants that presence because she's not getting it.
And I'll tell you one way you can test this. 1 second. Hello, cat. Coughing.
Like her and I on her birthday, we just spent the day crafting and watching movies together, and she was so super happy.
Yeah. Well, if you go and ask any child that is now an adult, what do you remember from your childhood?
Mm-hmm.
They won't say that 3rd or 8th or 25th present they opened on Christmas Day.
Right. Yeah.
But they will say when they played the board game.
Yeah.
When they went to the park, when they spent time on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, mine was, I'll tell you mine. My favorite childhood memory is actually with my dad. I don't remember how old I was, but I was really young. And we drove out to the middle of nowhere to a Christmas tree farm to cut down our own tree. And I remember trudging through like 4 feet of snow. Maybe it wasn't 4 feet, but I was short. Snow up to like my thighs and looking for the perfect tree, cutting it down, putting it in the car. And then we were driving along and we were hungry. and we saw this little restaurant we stopped, and it was a little pizza diner, and I remember it being the best pizza in the world, even though it probably wasn't. Because I was with my dad and we were like singing Christmas carols in the car, and it was just, I remember that. I couldn't tell you, I could tell you some gifts he's given me in the last couple of years, but I couldn't tell you anything he gave me when I was a kid.
Nowhere near so much. They do give us a little instant gratification. They do give us that little pick-me-up. Just the same as the donut in the evening or the takeaway when we've had a bad day.
Yeah.
That little bit of, but nothing lasts as long as actually spending time and listening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One of my childhood memories, because there's so many, especially when I was on the small holding, and that was, we had like a quarry, and you'd walk into this quarry, and in front of us was just a granite face. Now this was huge as a child. I was about 5, 6.
Yeah.
Now, it probably wasn't that big if I went back there now. But either side of this quarry, as you're facing the quarry, there was a slope up either side. Now we could walk up one side and walk up the other side, but you couldn't climb the rock face. So some of the older friends and my sister and the others, they put a rope from one end to the other, and we put a tire on it.
Oh, fun.
And just doing those things, spending time out, doing things with people, practical things, taking part in things. And the time I spent at my granddad's when he sat down with me, talking about bird books and just going through them and everything like that.
Yeah.
Those are the things I remember. I don't remember the watching TV.
Yeah.
I must have done, because I remember the tunes when they come on. And this is why we believe summers were longer, you know, things like that. It's because we remember the sunny days because we did something.
Right. Yeah.
We don't remember the 6 days in the rain at home.
Yeah.
So being a mindful parent is spending time with them, listening to them, loving them.
Yeah.
Understanding them,
Not
having
judging
compassion
them
for the way they feel.
Yeah.
And remembering what we do speaks a million times more loudly than what we tell them.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You know, no more of that practice what I preach, not as I do.
Yeah.
No more of that stop crying or I'll give you something to cry for.
Oh, gosh.
You know, the ability to cry is one of the greatest evolved let go of emotions. And yet we have the wisdom of some people telling us not to do it.
Yeah.
It's just funny when we look at it from the outside.
Oh, yeah. It's like, why are we fighting nature?
Yeah.
It's the way we were built.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Susan. And where can they get a hold of you?
They can find me on Susan's Inspiration Space on Facebook, which is music, art, inspirational stuff. That's about it right now. I've got a band page now too, but there's nothing on it yet.
We have to talk about that next time. You're starting.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're doing some recording, so my songs are inspirational.
Brilliant. Well, you can get hold of me on stephenwebb.com. Spelled with a V. I help you to find inner peace when, everything's going crazy in your life and your mind's hectic and it never shuts up.
Yeah.
That's when I help you find that little bit of inner peace when you need it most.
Yes. And I would say you're a bit of a meditation guru. I know you don't like that word.
I am the world's worst meditator. But that's the whole point of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a good meditator anywhere in the world, really, if all of them are honest.
Yeah.
There was one last thing I thought of. So what was it? Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Please leave us a review. Please put your comments below. Join in. Yeah. I might add more to. No, just give me 1 sec. Let me do it again, unless you want to do it.
Okay. No, I would just say, yeah, okay. Well,
It's hard when it's on the spot, anyway.
yeah, it is. Find us on Patreon, on Facebook, on iTunes, maybe even YouTube soon. Flip it and rebuild it.
Yep, just go to Google, type Flip It and Rebuild It, and you'll find us.
Yep.
Leave a review, help to promote us. We're a new podcast. We're going to come at you every week talking about different things. If you want us to cover a particular subject, let us know.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
I reckon that's pretty good. It's 4:00.
Oh my gosh, really? Oh no, it's 11 here. You just scared the crap out of me.
Sorry, who just scared?
You just scared me. You're like, oh, it's 4:00. I'm like, what? No, it's 11 here.
No, I'm supposed to be live at 4. But I'm taking my lives a bit more loosely at the moment because they're
yeah.
a bit. So what are you up to the rest of the day?
Hopefully apartment hunting.
Is that over your friend's house where you've just recorded this?
Yeah.
Because if you can go there, that's just brilliant sound.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to like bring a little fan or something. It's like a loft room above a work garage, but it's not insulated. So
And there's no windows.
There are windows, but there's no breeze up here, and well, there's no breeze outside, and
no curtains.
All the heat's rising up here, and
because you can see the sun on your face.
But hopefully, in a week or two, I will have my own place, and all will be solved.
Yeah, because that's the best place you've recorded.
Yeah.
It sounds better than my place, that does. I think.
Yeah, because there's a lot of plywood and like, well, I guess there's some insulation. There's like some foam, so it's kind of absorbing all the sound. I think the internet must be better here too.
Yeah, because it hasn't dropped a beat.
Yeah, because I noticed on the last one it was cutting a lot.
Right, so what I'm going to do, yeah, because you know when you get that bit of a squeak, there's a squeaky and like a robot.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's compressing it to get it through the pipes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go live in a minute. I have no idea what about. I will edit this over the next 2 days.
Okay.
Do you want me to upload the video to you or check whether you got the video?
Yeah, upload the video. And also, I don't have the video from the first podcast. I couldn't find it.
I've got it somewhere, but I don't know how well it recorded. That's all.
Oh, okay.
When this finishes, it'll come up with a box in the middle of the screen.
Okay.
Allow it to do its thing. It might take a couple of hours.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's got to compress it or something.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot last time.
That's all right. It doesn't matter because I got it this end. It's only if I lose mine and then you got yours too.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll work out. Let's just keep promoting whatever we're doing for the first month.
Yeah.
If we find out iTunes that we've only had one person listen to it over a month.
Yeah.
We know that it's going to be as hard on there as it is Patreon.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking, we can put the podcast itself out there everywhere and just make that freely available, because that seems like the only way to build an audience. And then we can save the Q&A and the behind the scenes video for our patrons. So we might want to no.
Let me move it over to Flip It and Rebuild It.
Yeah.
I can do that fairly quickly now. I've learned how to make it compatible with iTunes. And then I get my way with WordPress then.
What were you telling me about, or you messaged something about Google Play? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, once it's over on that, you've got to register at Google Play because it's not available in this country.
Oh, okay.
Which is really annoying.
So
you'll have to register it on Google Play.
okay.
We're better off getting it on Flip It and Rebuild It, because at the moment it's on stephenwebb.com.
Okay.
But I couldn't put your name in on iTunes or anything. It just won't do it.
Okay.
You can only do it from one account.
Yeah.
You cannot do it from a new iTunes account, because I tried that.
Yeah.
You have to have purchased at least 5 items, apps. You had to, but they don't tell you any of this. It just, every time you add the podcast, it reboots you out.
Yeah.
It wasn't until going through the forums and everything like that, and phoning somebody I know with a podcast. Now you've got to use an iTunes account that's been going a few months, that's already purchased with a card. It's like, so yeah, I had no choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out, like, for the YouTube. Like, I tried to make a YouTube channel for me and Kai with my account, and it didn't really work, because when I tried to put the logo in for our thing, it changed across the board for all of my channels, and I was
It's
like,
a nightmare.
I'm gonna have to create a new account, a separate YouTube account, I think, for it to work right.
Yeah, see if we can create Flip It and Rebuild It at gmail.com.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. And then that way people can send their Q&As to us through it.
And then we can have separate analytics and everything that we both can log into. And because I can add you to an admin on everything, it's just iTunes. It has to say in one of our names.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised we were accepted first time. It's quite, apparently they're quite fussy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that, actually.
But hey, we got in there first time.
Yeah, they must have liked it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to love you and leave you.
All right, I'll work
Good
on
luck
this.
with finding a place to live today.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.